Shrewsbury scores!
Powers lined up on the left side. Hits the pitch to Johnson. He gets outside. He's in! Mario Johnson! 2-point conversion! The Warriors are on! Unbelievable! 22 points! 16 seconds left!
Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner. Today we're celebrating a very special day as we start our 20th season with Coach's Corner. 20th. And I've got our great crew here. I'm going to introduce them and have them come out. And I've got first our PA addresser for Shrewsbury High School, Bobby Bigda. Bobby's been with us. Hey! Bobby, thank you. 20 years.
Another season. Hi, Michaela, Cam, Kyle. I gotta say hi to my grandpa.
Next, Billy Orfley. Billy Orfley's been with us since the inception of the whole thing. So thank you. Thank you. Billy, welcome. 20 years.
Incept season.
Next, our first play-by-play guy, our first voice of the Colonials when we first started. Brought him back from Florida for this special occasion, Billy D'Amelia.
Ho, hey, ho!
Billy.
Good seeing you.
Billy, baby.
And we wouldn't be the TV 328 broadcast crew without this guy, the voice of the Shrewsbury Colonials, Johnny Mastro.
Johnny boy, hey-ya!
And I'm Nick Tedesco.
The PA addresser. That's your new name.
Everson.
Addresser.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's what you said.
Public address addresser. Well, I did that off the top of my head. I didn't have a card or reading anything.
Ad libs is
We
what
do
it's all
that all
about,
the
man.
time.
That's the name of the show. There's not much rehearsal there.
I know. There's no rehearsal.
No script, no rehearsal, no
We
agenda.
get really
Really good.
Believe me, I get the reports on a regular basis,
boy.
and they're not really.
ratings have gone down.
Southgate.
I was going to say, how's the Southgate rating? Oh, you lost Southgate.
No.
How could
It's
that
still right
possibly
up there. Oh, we're still number one at Southgate.
ESPN uses us as a learning tool.
I see.
What not to do. Don't say what they say. Don't do what they do.
How about this, Billy? I didn't get to go because it was during the week, but the senior center had these three guys up there. It was like 70 people, 75 people, and they wanted to talk to them about sports.
We had them captivated.
What autographs? No autograph. Paid autograph? No.
We wanted to, but they said the fee was too high.
What was the men's
What
club?
you would have to pay them was too.
It was the Shrewsbury Men's Club. It was awesome. We had a great time.
that's
We
true.
we kind of like what we're going to try and do here a little bit is
Alright.
talk about where we started at the beginning, 20 years ago. Remember that? The very first show?
In the booth.
It was Wallace, and myself.
Yeah,
Actually, no, it was you and Terry, actually. The
I
very
remember
first
all
show.
the work behind the scenes, man, and that's how you earned your Hall of Fame nod. I had to get that in
that's
there. I know
true.
these guys don't want to give you that credit. And they really
They'll have their day.
They'll
have their day. Every dog has their day. And let me tell you, they are dogs.
Yeah, but this guy spent hundreds of hours learning the equipment, the machinery, all that backroom stuff, right? And behind the camera, behind the scenes all those years. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Really happy for
Thank
you.
you. Well, we did get one award that I brought with us right
yeah?
there. I don't know if you saw that or not, Billy.
That's it.
You might not have seen this.
We were recognized back in 2009 by the Hall of Fame, the College Hall of Fame, Joseph R. Mowini Award.
Yeah.
For our work, what we've done, and so we have been
Oh,
recognized as a
man.
group.
And
Everybody got
especially that was for the Shriners.
Very nice.
When we were doing that
right,
game for
right.
them.
We're doing the Chowder Bowl every
Nice,
year.
that Chowder Bowl, yeah,
So
yeah.
we've
Let me ask you guys a question. Now, I know you and Johnny started by videotaping your kids' games.
That's right. Yeah.
Getting yelled at by the
But
kids.
where did the idea of coming down to the studio come from?
That's
the two of us. When,
Yeah.
when we were, well, it started when we were in the
It
Gridiron
started
Club.
with Terry.
Well, it was the Gridiron Club.
Terry
Billy,
came-
no. I know exactly what happened.
No. It was before Terry, man.
Oh, was
Right.
it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Billy and I were talking, and it was his idea because he wanted to broadcast all the games.
Right.
That was what the premise was of the whole Coach's Corner
Right.
idea. And then we started talking to Laurie
Right.
Bergman
Yep.
because her sons
son
were
was
playing,
playing,
and Laurie
yep.
says, "Why don't you guys come down and do a
Yep.
show in the studio, interview the coaches and all
Right.
that?" So that's where we came down, and we took the
Bill May and Mark Serra.
Well, Mark was the guy that taught us.
He did.
Mark has been with us for
And
20
that
years.
explained a lot at the beginning.
I know, that's right.
Took a while to get out there.
All right, Mark, don't put that mustache on there now. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, really. Oh, we got the long hair. Really.
Yeah, I started off, I used to have that
Yeah, we
thing
both
there.
did.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
looked like
Yeah.
Mario and
We all
Luigi.
did. I had the goatee like Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had hair.
What about the tux? Remember him in the tux?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, what was that?
for
That was the first.
anniversary.
There was a tux
think it was the
show.
first show.
I remember the show
I think it was
where I
our-
wore the colonial head for the entire show.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? I was the
remember
mascot.
that.
You don't remember? What are you, stunned or what?
I'm losing my memory.
I remember that.
I went at the entire
The
freaking
tux,
show.
wasn't the tux 10
No.
years?
It may have been 10 years. Well, you were here for 10 years?
I don't think so. I don't
It
think
may have been
no,
the
I think it
5-year
was 10
show.
years.
Or
'Cause
maybe it was 5
if
years.
this
It might
is
have been
20
5
years, I've been gone for, man, this is in September. It's
All I
13
remember
years.
is he took all kinds of crap because his tie was red.
Oh, that's right. That's
Don't start
right.
now. I don't want to get Bobby all that. I don't want to do this, all right? Every time we start talking red and the S word, not soccer, I'm talking St. John's. There's all the blood just starts,
I have no problem. I just said there's a lot of things in life that are more important than what Johnny's
than our, but it's a kind of a fun.
It
is. I mean, it's good. It gets you riled up, right? It
It's
gets.
like the Red Sox Yankees, it's the same
Exactly.
thing. It's the same thing.
I hear you.
What I remember most is the first few shows. Billy did lots of talking and Terry did a lot of this.
Terry was sleeping.
It's like,
One thing I do want to say about the
Yeah.
Shrewsbury St. John's thing.
yeah.
The last couple of years, both schools combined to play Legion together.
Oh.
They're about half and half.
No
Actually,
kidding.
yeah,
Oh,
they
that's
went to the
nice.
World Series last year. They almost.
Oh,
won the
a
region.
phenomenal
But
success.
You
I
talk
know.
to every kid on that team, and it's the best thing in the world.
Oh, that's
to
nice.
Play together.
That's nice. That's
really
nice.
have a good time.
I'm glad.
It is a
I'm
good
glad.
thing. But during the school year, it's a different.
Yeah. Are we playing each other against?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
In what?
Football,
Everything.
every sport.
Everything.
Every sport.
Actually, we've done pretty well. Shrewsbury's done well
Yeah,
against
we
the
have.
last.
Yeah, it's the it is. It's a tough. I mean, obviously they have a bigger crowd, bigger draw, the whole 9 yards, right? But
We won't get into that.
Bigger,
yeah,
faster. They are. They're, a lot of times they're much bigger than us. But,
Yeah, yeah.
But we've been battling them
Yeah,
pretty
good.
well over the last
Oh, that's
5,
good.
6 years.
That's
The
good.
year before, not last year, they just dominated us on the line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They dominated us on the
They had
line.
a great
and we could
quarterback.
not get at their quarterback.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
And he
yeah.
just tore us apart.
Oh.
The year before,
Oh yeah.
the year before,
Yeah.
we matched them very well.
Yeah.
And we were at their quarterback every play. As soon as he got the ball, we were on him.
But came up short.
No,
No, we
won-
beat
you
the
won
crap
two,
We
out
went
of
to
them.
Gillette.
I
You don't even know that? We went to Gillette.
No
we were
kidding.
sitting in the booth.
no kidding.
Billy, no, that's right. We go up to our place.
Yeah.
There's a buffet. There's
Yeah.
a smorgasbord. It's beautiful.
Billy must have loved that.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're in heaven.
They had to win their way.
About 15 minutes before the game, so all right, let's get down to our booth
Yeah.
and set up. We go down, we got no booth. We're in the radio section. TV section's like all the way across the
no.
thing. The game starts, we're at the elevator. We're watching the game on the monitor. It took us 20, we got there halfway through the first.
I kept on telling them, let's go back, let's go back.
But we ate well.
And that was my first time ever at Gillette. I kind of in
Really?
the back of my mind, I was always like, I'm not going until we go to the Super Bowl.
Oh.
In the back.
Yeah,
of my
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
That wasn't even the worst thing that day.
We played
got
a
there
team.
late. We forgot the cord. Remember? We forgot part of the equipment to go.
You look at me, you put the white thing in
we
there.
played a team that was like 98.
No kidding.
They were that good.
No kidding.
They were good.
No kidding.
And they rested everybody on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Then you
Oh,
play
really?
and start.
they were undefeated.
Yeah. And they
Thanksgiving, they got shellacked.
Because they
50
sat
to nothing,
everybody
because
out.
They sat everybody.
Oh yeah.
The quarterback though broke a record, state record for touchdown passes in a career.
Oh, my God.
At 120.
They were good.
Oh,
They
man.
were good.
Yeah, so 98 when we got crushed by, who was that?
Springfield Tech?
No.
Cathedral?
The same one the same one we
Central?
beat the next year.
Central.
Oh, no.
Where Terry came
Meadow?
from.
Yeah.
Huh?
Long Meadow, East Long Meadow.
Long Meadow, yeah.
No,
Because
we lost to
To
Springfield
Springfield.
Central in
Yeah.
98.
I thought we lost to the
No,
same.
no,
no.
You're
No, you're thinking the year
things-
before, Shrewsbury lost to them. The year before we beat them, we
When
lost.
Billy senior
98
year.
when we went.
Yeah. Yeah.
97, whenever
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
We played Springfield Central.
Okay, I can't believe I
And they killed us.
Yeah,
And the
we
guy rubbed it in. Remember the
Yeah.
whole thing with Sean at
Yeah,
the end?
yeah, that was bad.
And
that
then
was bad.
2000, we played East Long Meadow, and Winston McGregor
Yeah.
Right.
ran over us, through us, and around us. Remember, he jumped over
Yeah.
Brian
That was
Anderson.
99.
99.
And we lost.
And then
We lost
2000.
That was the state.
Right.
That was Worcester State game. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Worcester
yeah,
State
yeah,
game.
yeah.
And then the next year,
That was the year
2000.
we went to
Yeah.
Springfield. It was the last game.
Right.
And
21
the
to 20.
athletic, the
16
athletic
seconds
director.
left. Yeah.
Awesome. It was
That was
awesome.
nice seeing that on your intro still.
Yeah, we still got you there,
Yeah,
Billy.
yeah.
So 19 years, and I don't believe we've missed a game. Individually we've missed.
Football
games.
game?
Yeah.
We've
We've
done
never
every
missed-
single game in
we've never
19
missed a
years.
football
No, we've never missed a football game.
No.
One of us has been there.
Every one.
At least one of us has
by
been.
yourself to Fitchburg.
Yeah, I did the
2
Fitchburg.
years
You
ago.
see me lugging the Fitchburg. Has got that rail that goes up like this, the staircase, and I got all the equipment going up that rail. I go, these
How about
idiots.
basketball? Still do basketball?
Once in a
Occasionally.
while. Once in a while. We've come upon
We ran-
hard times on the girls' side a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm too far away.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
fun.
I used to do a lot of those alone.
Yeah,
I
you
used to
did.
go.
I
We
did
used to have the
them
camp.
Yeah,
we used to
yeah,
switch quarters.
exactly. Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
the
yeah.
shoulders
That
were
was
killing us.
Billy, I did every girls' basketball game for
Oh yeah,
5 or 6
for
years.
almost by yourself for a
I
while.
had I had Stephen Robitaille for a couple
Yeah,
of years,
yeah.
and I had
Kara Howe.
Kara Howe
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
We went everywhere.
That was
I mean,
But it's to the point, he's busy all the time. He's got
well,
such
after
a
the
long,
Hall of Fame and
Yeah.
the credentials
Stop.
and
he's got
everything.
such a long travel.
Yeah.
He's the
Great.
PA announcer.
Yeah.
I mean, and I collect tickets.
Right.
Now we got grandkids.
Yeah. Grandkids,
exactly.
man. That's what life is all about.
exactly.
That's the
But we've
best.
been pretty true to football, though.
Yeah.
Football is
Football,
yeah,
we're-
football.
yeah.
We're
Yeah, that's the
dedicated.
religion.
Baseball, we
It
haven't
is.
done a game, and we rented a U-Haul.
Yeah,
And got
that was the last game we
behind the
did.
plate
No
up at
kidding.
the new high school.
We sat
Remember
in
that
the-
game at Dean Park with
Oh, yeah.
when we
Absolutely.
played St. John's, the
Unbelievable.
Shrewsbury St. John's game?
Todd Cooksey.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was absolutely. The place was electric. I finally won over Nero. He started like, "You really do good at this."
Well, my lasting memory on that game will always be the very end when 500 kids, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rushed
Ran
the
onto
field.
Yeah. That was
It was
great.
like we won the World Series.
That the
It
other
was
great moment we
unbelievable.
had at Dean was the Babe Ruth tournament that we hosted.
Oh, yeah.
That was absolutely
of
because
fun.
the same kind of thing. All those young kids were standing around watching the older kids, and you could see the,
The
hero
lights,
worship in their
our
eyes.
Fields of
and-
Dreams
Yeah. That was just awesome.
And I just want to
It was
mention
awesome.
too, I invited 2 other guys to be here today. One of them couldn't be here because he's on vacation. The other guy is in no man's land. I don't know. It was Dennis Mastro.
Oh.
I asked Dendo to come
Yeah,
this morning.
yeah.
I didn't want to forget about
Yeah.
Dendo because he was
Of course, a big
he was
part
there
of
at the
it.
beginning.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
the other guy is Ted Early.
Yeah.
Ted Early.
This place should be in the Louvre.
No. But the one that
It's
I always think
indefensible.
about. No, back when we played Wachusett, back in the early days, and we
You're not
all
gonna go there, are you?
because that's how we should end this show. I
You
think.
got us in trouble. You got us in trouble.
Well, how did I get? What did I do?
One
You
play.
don't remember?
One
See,
play.
he doesn't even
He
remember.
doesn't even
What are we
remember.
talking about?
The
What-
first
what-
play of the game, Mario Johnson goes 68 yards around right end.
Yeah.
First offensive play of the game,
Yeah.
and you go, turn out the lights.
We got in trouble for that.
I don't remember getting in trouble.
I went and sat with Dr. Gudakans for an hour and a half. Hey, Nicky, this is Billy. Hey, we just got called in. Dr. Gudakans wants us both in there to go.
We're Italian. What the hell can I say?
We get kicked off of the education channel because of that.
It was true, wasn't it?
It was.
It was.
But they didn't like it. They didn't like it. They didn't like it.
Well,
They loved
especially
us.
because
We
the
did. They loved us. Are you kidding me?
No, the athletic
parents
director
loved-
from
Yeah.
Wachusett lived in Shrewsbury.
Yeah,
You know
too
what he was
bad.
gonna say.
Well, then there was a time, I don't know if this is public knowledge, and I'm going to be throwing my friend Johnny under the bus completely. I mean, it was much worse than that. Milford we go out to watch
Oh, yeah.
Milford
Yeah.
practice in football, and Johnny has a brand new video camera, and he starts videoing the opposition
you would've
before
thought-
Thanksgiving.
Oh.
And
You would have thought that I was Watergate.
you were. I'm just trying out my new camera. Yeah, right.
Patriots got fined for doing that stuff.
Now, everybody tapes everybody, and it's on the internet. You go on this thing called Huddle,
Yeah.
and you can watch every
Not on the practices before Thanksgiving game at their field when we went out there.
I was ahead of my time.
That's pretty freaking bad.
No, we all went out there to scout. But
Were you in a tree or were you standing?
no, we were right in the stands. It's like
That's freaking pre-Belichick.
Really?
That's what. Did you work for Belichick?
Listen, we had a lot of people that
Like a
didn't like us very
Spygate.
much. either.
that's true. Oh yeah.
Milford?
Oh yeah.
Now that's the definition of a butt up, and the people are looking up and they're yelling at us.
How many times did we get called a-holes during that guy in Milford called us?
Oh, yeah. Some people hate it.
So many, I remember at Shrewsbury. I don't remember if you, right? But there was a little girl in the stands at the high school. We're up in the booth doing the game, and I'm seeing this little girl, and she's tugging on her mother, and she's pointing up to me, and I finally, I think that's him. And then I go over and go, yeah, I'm the guy on TV. She goes, no, you're not. Oh, it was so cute. Oh,
The
great.
thing
funny.
that I think I'm most proud of is the number of kids
Yeah.
that we've had on Coach's
Yeah,
Corner
yeah.
throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Amazes me is so many of those kids, see you down in Florida, see you detached.
yeah.
Now they got their kids.
I know.
Yeah.
I get to follow them on Facebook. I love Facebook. I got to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I keep it in touch with knowing what's going on, the families and friends and everything
Yeah.
like that.
I
It's
mean,
awesome.
these kids, I can remember, this one always kills me, Chris Lynch.
Yeah.
Chris Lynch, the year we won the Super Bowl. Now, I remember when he first came on,
Right.
and he comes and he sits there and Coach says something, I say something, and he starts rattling off, and I go, what the hell did he just say? He sounded like Terry. I mean, he's a senior in high. It was amazing.
It was fun watching them come on, and then as they came on more and more, they got more comfortable and stuff like that. But I always did. I loved
The
it.
only one that never, ever got comfortable was Dean Diamondback. if I met him at the gas station,
Yeah.
we'd talk
He'd
for
be
25 minutes.
Yeah, right.
On here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
remember? All the time.
And yet his brother's the complete opposite. When Lee
Lee?
comes in, he's been
Oh.
on the show more than anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Hasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah, I think he
Yeah, I
has.
think he has.
Lee, every year he's nationally ranked in the freshman basketball.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. Oh, you're done. I was like, what the hell are you talking
Seriously,
about?
yeah.
He does a good
They
job.
win.
Does
They
a good
win.
15
job.
and 5.
That's great. Every
Wow.
year, by about this time, his hairs locks
Yeah.
it down to here.
Me and
Grows
Nikki
it all
have a
summer.
bet so that they get their head shaved. I got one for you.
Yep.
Now, 4 or 5 years ago, we were going, it had to be more than that, 10 years ago, we were going down in the field,
Yeah.
talk to Terry, our ace reporter.
Yes.
Goes down, comes back up to the booth and he says, I got the first play. He goes, yeah, what's that? He goes, Y right, X, Y, Z, ISO fade. What's that? I don't know.
He got the name of the play. No idea where it's going.
Well, you gotta understand, you told me to go down and get the You didn't tell me where it's in.
Oh, that's so good. You guys still do Good Morning Shrewsbury?
Oh, yeah.
We do, but
Not
not as much.
Not as much.
Not as much as we do.
When did we do Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, we did the Kentucky
was the last
Derby.
one.
You
We'll
don't talk
do it a
about
little
car
bit
racing at
more.
all?
Oh, yeah, we still
No.
I still hate it.
I say it's got to be well-rounded. You can't just pick sports. You got to talk about all of them.
I haven't succumbed down in Florida yet. I have not.
You have not succumbed?
No.
That must be
You
hard
haven't
down
driven
there.
up to
It is.
Daytona?
What's that?
Not driven up to Daytona?
I've been by it, right? But I'm not going to go
kiss the
sit
finish
there.
line or
No,
drink milk or
no.
whatever it is?
I got to tell you, it's an impressive freaking place. I mean, it's like,
It is. I've been
oh
there.
my God. it's
Well,
like-
I didn't see the race either. I just stopped there. and
Yeah.
looked at it,
I mean, it's,
All the years you were, one full year you worked in Milwaukee?
I was there almost 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Did you go to a Packers game?
No.
Not
I
one.
should have. I should have. Nah.
Wow.
I should have.
You probably
Well,
couldn't get
I was
in.
usually home on weekends, number one, you know,
Okay.
and a couple of times I thought about going, fuck it. probably 30 below zero. I you know, like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
really.
Watch it on TV.
I've been to Milwaukee once. I went to Milwaukee County Stadium.
Oh, yeah?
Saw a Brewers game.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's
I
long
watched
gone, isn't it?
Hideo Nomo pitch for the LA Dodgers that
Yeah,
game.
they got a brand new stadium there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, they were building it,
Yeah.
right, you could see it.
So, Bill, you were still here when the kids played at the new field, right?
Yes, yes,
you
I
went
was.
in that
Yep.
press box.
Yep, yep.
Good news, that press box will be torn down
Yeah.
and another one built.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we got
Wasn't
that
your
little
favorite place?
band.
I know,
Oh,
that
it's
was-
terrible.
No, we're not getting any smaller, and the space was getting smaller.
So is the field just ready now? I mean, is this
Field,
ready.
the
I mean,
field
but it-
would be
field is
is
ready.
ready.
for the season?
By the end of this week, the field would be ready, but the track has got to be done.
Oh, but this season they're going to play
Yes.
on that field.
Yes.
End of September, early October.
Oh, is it? So they're
End of September, early October, they're planning a huge dedication event, and that's what's going to
Are
happen.
they having all away games till that point?
I was going to say, when,
I think they will. They're going to have to.
it starts beginning of September season.
They're
Right?
going to have to.
Yeah, right after Labor Day.
Billy,
You're
last,
talking 3 weeks.
2 years
Yeah,
ago?
no, I know.
2 years ago, the year we went to the Super Bowl, we had a homecoming, right? Where we had food trucks.
Oh,
Billy,
yeah.
It was, it was a little piece of Americana.
No kidding.
We
Oh.
had 4,000 or 5,000 guys, people here, for the event
Yeah.
and for the St. John's football game.
Really?
Yeah.
They
Food
had
trucks,
food
they had
trucks,
photo booths.
photo
Wow.
booths. They had, you know, each
Wow.
club, the
Yeah.
the
Ski
Glee
team
club,
had,
the ski
yeah.
club,
Slush.
everybody had a booth.
Oh, my God.
And 5 food trucks, and they all sold out.
Every one of them sold
It was
out.
about,
Sold
about 80
out.
degrees. that
And it
night.
was
Wow. How much was
a
it?
great
80
game.
degrees.
No
that
kidding.
The only bad
Beautiful
thing
thing.
about it, there was no place to park.
Yeah.
You know, people were parking down at Billy's driveway. Mary was selling tickets, $10.
I'm serious. When we play St. John's now, they have cops down at the light.
Yeah.
Because people are parking down there. It's
That's great.
unbelievable.
That's great.
It's
That's a
unbelievable.
great rivalry. Man.
It
That's-
is.
that's-
It
It was a little piece of Americana. It was
That's nice.
fabulous.
That's nice.
And it was
That's
a
nice.
great game. It went down
was
to
a
the
great
last
game.
play.
It was
Wow.
a
Yeah, bouncy houses and.
Yeah, they had
Wow.
stuff for the
Holy
kids. It was
cow.
I think P.J. O'Connell was the originator,
Yeah.
right?
I think so.
He's
Okay.
the one that set it
And the
all up.
pizza.
It was,
We had pizza, that
Oh,
free
yeah,
pizza
pizza.
that night.
they had a pizza truck there, Billy.
I went down for halftime, tried to get another one.
Yeah.
They were sold
sold
out.
out
He
at
says,
halftime.
he says to me, there was a line from here down the end of the building. And he says, can you tell them we have no more pizza? I said, no.
You notice, everybody out there, the theme always comes back to one subject, right? It always comes back to the same subject, okay?
We're still giving Mike Fontecchio, he still hasn't asked over for meatballs.
How many years ago was that?
The other
We
thing,
started
the other
already
thing I
with
want
him.
to say too is what I'm most proud of here is, I always remember Terry
Yeah.
in the beginning, and some of the things he said.
Right.
That will remain between
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah.
But he always wanted to build a program,
Yep,
and guess what?
he did it.
It's a program.
Absolutely. No
It's a
question
program
about it.
now.
No question
It is.
about it. Yeah, yeah, no, he
I mean,
really,
you know, Terry and John are two completely opposite end coaches.
Yep.
Terry was always a happy
Yep,
coach.
yep, yep.
And John is a little bit more stoic, and but
Same results.
they do have the same
that's
results.
great, yeah, no, that's
100,
great.
I think they had 100 on the team last year.
100 last year, yeah. Yeah. and-
Remember that days they used to, Sean had to go in the halls and try to recruit people.
Yeah, well, I get you. So I still like to think that our little group, you know, started the fire right before Terry came, right?
Right.
Because
That's true.
Shrewsbury football before that for like how many years? Like 20 years, right?
was awful.
Remember when we were first going, when our
awful.
kids were freshmen, and so, you know, there was 50 people at the game, the parents, and that was it. And by that senior year when we went to Super, the town was electric.
And it was your boys. It was your boys that inspired our boys.
That's right.
That's how I like to
And
I
that's
like
what
to take
took
it
it
that
off.
way. I gotta
That's
tell
It
you.
was Billy.
Yeah.
Billy, remember Billy walking through the high school with all the kids and telling them about.
Billy would go over to the
Shrewsbury
middle
High?
school and see them.
Right.
I tell
And
you,
the kids would clamor around
This
him.
is an embarrassing story about Billy, right? So he's doing the 8th grade. So Billy was a pretty good looking guy, the football captain, blah, 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 right? Goes to the 8th grade, the middle school, to go over and encourage those kids. So the ones that signed up for him, you know, they happened to be on the female side of the persuasion. quite a few, right? So anyway, one of them comes, the mother comes up and talks with Pat. She's going, Billy was going through the group, and my daughter was with her with all her friends, right? And Billy had a candy, and he dropped the wrapper in the thing. My daughter took the wrapper out, brought it home, put it under her pillow.
Oh my gosh. That's
Hysterical,
unbelievable.
absolutely.
That's unbelievable.
Crack me
Well,
up.
he was a star.
that
Billy was a
one-time.
star.
Well,
He
he's
was,
was
fired
fun.
all the kids to
He
come
did.
there.
Well, but that whole
Absolutely.
class, I mean, they all kind of stayed, right? That class didn't go to St. John. The
did,
better
yeah.
athletes in that class stayed together. The Brian O'Connors and, you know.
Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I don't care what anybody says. I spent 3 years watching Billy play football.
Yeah, thanks, yeah.
And I've watched for another 20 years. And we've had some great, we've had some
absolutely,
great running backs.
absolutely.
Mario Johnson.
Billy Orfalea.
Billy Orfalea.
Yeah.
Dennis Molinari.
we've
Lots
had
of-
a lot of good
Yep.
ones.
In my opinion, your son was the best running back we ever had.
Thank you, that's very nice.
And the reason I say that is nowadays, these kids get 20, 25 carries, 30 carries. Billy got 12
Billy
carries.
never got 20 carries in a game
Never.
in his entire career.
Never.
Never.
My son averaged 29
Really? Wow.
his senior year.
Wow.
29.
He didn't play defense. He didn't play
Billy.
defense his senior year
Right.
because Todd Cooksey stepped up and moved in at cornerbacks, and he didn't have to play. So.
We didn't have that luxury. When Billy
No.
was a
No,
freshman.
they're all playing.
When my son Billy was a freshman, this is how few people we had in the program. he was playing offense and defense and special
Kicking
teams
turns,
as a
kickoff,
freshman,
yeah.
right? But then what you don't know, and a lot of people don't know, is he played the JV games.
Oh,
Michael did the same thing.
In the same week, so he was playing 2 full football. We didn't have enough people to actually feel. Like
Michael
That's
did the
pretty
same
sad.
thing.
It was-
That's pretty
yeah.
sad.
Michael, you know, he was young. He didn't understand at the time. But you know, you remember the year we went up to North Middlesex. We got off the bus. There's
Yeah.
120 kids going. Whoa! We had lost.
Yeah.
We had lost that game before we even walked on the field.
It's true.
But the year when remember we go to the nights, there'd be 40
Right,
people
right,
there.
right.
Well, the year we went to the Super Bowl, there was 130 people
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
There was cars, and he goes, "Where were all these people last year?"
But remember, Billy, you're right. We did have a great impact on making this thing happen. I mean, if that's patting yourself on the
Yeah,
back,
but I think,
we're patting ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
But you
Don't
think
worry.
back to the Gridiron Club. I remember
Yeah.
being at a Babe Ruth baseball game, and you coming over to me and said, Terry Wallace wants to start a Gridiron Club.
Yep.
He wants to have a meeting with all of us. So we're getting the meeting going, and that's where it all started.
Yeah, absolutely.
It started with
Yeah.
that Gridiron
Yeah,
Club.
yeah.
It did.
It was
and
awesome.
and it took off, and
In all 20 years, the favorite moments are when the parents say they appreciate what we
Oh,
do.
don't you love
They
that?
love what we do.
Yep.
Don't give it up.
Yep.
Stay with our boys. The second, and mostly, and as equal as the first, is the kids coming back
I know.
and saying thank you.
I know.
We
I
missed
know.
you.
I
I mean,
agree.
we loved everything you did
Wonderful
for us.
feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah, 'cause
And
we've
that's
done
in
this all for the
20
kids.
Yeah, of course, we were the homers of all time, which didn't hurt the
yeah.
cause at all. But I'm like, why would we ever change that? This is our town, and we weren't nasty to the other teams.
No.
We just really
We're
all the
still, we're
superlatives
still
for us.
not really tight with the refs.
no, we still, the refs still hate us.
Johnny was always the worst about that.
Dennis!
Oh yeah, no,
Dennis!
you're right. I take it back. Dennis has created a whole new Facebook, and Dennis is like, wow. When he threatened to get off Facebook, I was gonna cry.
Well, they didn't threaten. Just the eye.
Dennis, I love you, baby. Don't ever change.
Anyway, Billy and I go to a basketball game at WPI, one
Yeah.
of the playoff games. I don't think Shrewsbury was even
Yeah,
playing.
you were there. I was there.
We all go in there, and the group of the refs, there they are.
You guys don't know anything about
Yeah, how about Thanksgiving?
right.
We're at a basketball
Thanksgiving
game.
morning, we go to IHOP for our
Yeah,
annual tradition in
Yep.
there, and the ref see us coming walking in. He goes, "Oh, here we go, here we go."
Who would want to hear it from my
Hey, we got less than a minute to go.
The other
So
thing,
this has
the other
been
thing
nice.
I want to
Yeah,
say
this
is,
has been
Billy, I played football in high school.
Yeah.
Bobby played, Billy played basketball. I would give anything to have a film of mine.
I know.
These kids got 20 plus
Yeah,
years
no,
of that.
it's awesome. Yeah,
It's
You're right.
unbelievable.
Hearing that from the kids and the parents makes you feel like $1 million.
It is, it is.
And there's the ground. Then go ahead, do
There
your
you go.
thing there, buddy.
Well, Billy, I just think it would be great to say thank you, first of all, that you came back and be on the show, but I think it'd be also a good way for you to wrap up the show.
Turn out the light. The party's over.
I love it when you sing.
Great to see you, boys. All right. Hey, a little group hug here. Who let the dogs out? Who did that at the Super Bowl?
That was no
Welcome to the first edition of a new show we're going to be having here on SPAC called Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Bill D'Amelia, president of the newly formed Shrewsbury Gridiron Club. And with me today is head football coach at Shrewsbury High, Terry Wallace. Terry, welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
First show, a lot of excitement. I know we've got a lot of people wondering what it's going to be all about. And I think we'll go over the format a little bit of what we planned and get right into it. I think what we're going to try to do from week to week is to go over the results of previous game and then look at a preview of the upcoming game and bring on some guests, show some highlights of the past games, and we've even talked about bringing a couple of coaches on from maybe some of the opposition.
Yeah, exactly, Bill. What we're trying to do is just have a little excitement here about Shrewsbury football. And we talked about possibly bringing on some of my assistant coaches and players each week to kind of get their perspective of what we're trying to do. And I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Sounds good. Well, I think the best way to start today is, since we didn't have a game last week because we're getting ready for the first game in about 8 or 9 days now. Actually, 9 days from today?
9 days.
Exciting game opening up against Gardner. But why don't we go over what our last game was, which obviously was one of the biggest wins in Shrewsbury High history in the last 10, 15 years anyway, and that victory over Milford. That was a tremendous win, and it really, hopefully, going to set the tone for this coming year.
It really did. We were a very streaky team last year. We won our first game, and then we dropped our next 8. But the credit to the kids, they really stayed up. We tried to keep teaching, and we were a very young team. And then we had a nice win over Burncoat prior to the Milford game.
Right.
And I basically told the guys, this is the game you'll remember the rest of your life, especially the seniors. And we just put it all together. Offensively, defensively, we came out. We forced a lot of turnovers. We executed on the offensive side of the ball. It just had a great win. Down in Milford, I mean, it was just something to see.
Boy, I was really glad to be there, and the excitement was just unbelievable, and the emotion, you could just feel it. And again, we had a lot of alumni, a lot of older folks. It drew a really big crowd out in Milford. It was a really exciting day.
Absolutely. And it was nice to see the alumni come back and watch a game like that. And they were just excited as the kids on the field. And that's what it's all about. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get, with the Gridiron Club going also, get the alumni back here, hopefully put a solid program on the ground and, have wins like that where it's a family atmosphere with the whole Shrewsbury community.
Well, that was great. Let's go over some of the real big results of that game. Where a couple of turnovers early in the game. I mean, Milford turned it over right away. We kind of turned it over back. First quarter went back and forth for a while, but then in the second quarter we got a break. We got the ball near midfield, and then Lee opened up the passing game and led us to a touchdown there.
Right. It was kind of interesting. We won the toss. We took the ball and we came out and they kicked to us. And on the opening kickoff, Mike Mastro had a great return and then fumbled. And I'm going, oh, geez, here we go. But fortunately, we got the ball right back, and it was basically a seesaw game. They kicked a field goal to go up 3-0 after the first quarter, and then we came back. Lee made a great play. It was called a 29 tight end hip pass, and Ryan Majewski made a great catch to get the ball inside the 10-yard line. And Lee was out. His 8th game started as a sophomore. He was almost as a junior. And he had really picked it up at that point. And I was really happy for Ryan. It was a real big play for him as a senior. So.
Absolutely. And then Mike Mastro, who ended up being the game MVP.
Right.
A lot of hard running that day, and he smashed it in from, I think, the 1-yard line.
Right. What we did at the end of the season was, with our backs, with Mario and Billy not being as big as Michael, we went to a power I set.
Right.
With Brian Robitaille and John Bacardi as the 2 power backs. And Michael's a load, and he's a tough guy to bring down. And that day, he certainly wasn't going to be denied. We gave him the ball inside the 10-yard line. Took him 2 cracks, and he's in the end zone.
Yeah, a lot of beef on that play. I watched that,
yeah.
And Johnny Mastro had called it. Maybe they're going to put in that big full house back. And there it was, and Michael blasted it in.
Absolutely.
Then the game stayed that way going into the third quarter. And then Michael Mastro, again, had just a phenomenal run. And they really got the crowd going, too. He must have shooken off 3 or 4 tackles, got about a 19 and 20-yard gain. And led us to the next drive. It
was an unbelievable run. And Michael, to his credit, during the week, he really sucked it up the whole season. And he had a really sore hip pointer. Yeah. And, he just looked at me and says, Coach, I'm not coming out. You'd have to kill me. And on that particular run, we ran a belly play, and he dragged, 4 or 5 Milford kids with him right down our sideline. And it was so inspirational for our kids to see him do that and gut it out. And then we came back to our power I set.
Right.
Milford certainly thinking we'd be running the ball, and we had a little play action pass. We had Jamie Bonamo down the sideline for about a 25-yard gain. Again, Lee throwing the ball real nice, and Jamie making a real nice catch.
It was a beautiful play.
And then after that, We ran a couple belly plays, and Milford overshifted, and Michael again took off on the 15-yard line. Wouldn't be tonight, dived into the end zone. The place goes crazy. The sideline goes crazy, and Brendan Slavin kicks the extra point. We're up 14-3.
Boy, that was really exciting to play. And right then, you just had the sense it was going to happen. I mean, early in the game, you just weren't sure. It's like ebb and flow. But at that point, it really looked like we had the edge.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. I think at that time, in fact, it was 7-3, and it was a nip and tuck type of thing. As a coach, you're kind of still concerned because a touchdown will put them back ahead. But after we scored there, they seemed to let the air go to their balloon, and we were really fired up. And our defense was just outstanding all day. Not only having them turn the ball over, they ended up turning the ball over 7 times, but just with the sacks with the younger kids, and they just weren't going to be denied on that day.
Boy, I'll tell you, talking about the defense too, Tommy Crossman, freshman, stepped up unbelievably big in this game. Had 2 interceptions, and the second one came in the fourth quarter. And again, Milford was trying to drive the ball a little bit, put it up, and Tommy came up with his second pick. And geez, what a phenomenal game!
I'll tell you, Tommy, as a freshman, started the last 2 games, had 3 interceptions to lead the team. Great read on the ball. Saw the quarterback trying to throw a post pass, stepped in front of the pass, and intercepted. And then again, they would drive and try to make it 14-10, and that's a huge play. And we expect real big things from Tommy this year.
And then after Tommy's interception, Mario kind of iced it with about a 45, 48-yard run. In typical Mario fashion, just used his speed, broke a couple tackles, went down again. Our sideline, a lot of this stuff happened on our sideline too, which really, really made it go. And Mario, of course, had a phenomenal year and another great game for himself.
Yep, Mario, we just ran a quick hitter right up the middle. I wasn't really looking to try to score. There was about 2 minutes left in the game, just trying to run out the clock. I didn't realize how many timeouts they had. In typical Mario fashion, he went to the line, spun around, and once he hits the sideline, he's Katie by the door, as they say. Katie by the door.
And Mario got the offensive MVP of that game.
Right.
Tommy got the defensive MVP, and Michael in his last game as a senior with the first win against Milford in 10 years. And boy, I just don't know how it could have been any more exciting, and it was phenomenal.
As a coach, you look at the last season, we were 3-8. But to go out with the win over Burncoat and that win against Milford, and I was just, we had a tough year. I mean, we had a lot of young kids, and we had a lot of seniors got it out. The Mike Masters, the Greg Gage, the Chris Davids, the Joe Patulis, of the Ryan Majewski's, Nick Rotolos. And just to see their faces walking off that field, I mean, you can't describe it.
It made it all.
It really did. And, and to Mario, like you said, he had a great season. He ended up rushing for over 940 yards. And he's only a sophomore. Only good things going to happen in the future. But to Michael, as far as the kid would have run through the wall in that game. If I said, Mike, run through that wall, we'll win. He said, okay, coach, where's the wall? So again, I was just so happy, and I was so happy also for the younger kids as far as momentum going into this year. I said to the freshmen, now, you guys have never lost on Thanksgiving.
That's right.
And I kind of joked and said, you know what, all my coaching career, I've never lost on Thanksgiving. The turkey won't taste very good, so why don't we start a tradition where we don't lose on Thanksgiving? So the credibility factor was there, and now that leads into this season.
That's great. So let's lead into this season. You spent some time at Burncoat. You held a camp. Team's been getting ready for the last week or 10 days, gone through double sessions, opened up with a scrimmage yesterday against Burncoat.
Yep.
And very, very successful. I'll tell you, it was very impressive. Boys came out flying. They looked like they gelled, both the first team, the second team, the JV. Put on a really good show yesterday.
Yeah, we were very pleased as a staff. We come on the first play, we ran a little counter tray play to Mario, and he went right down the sideline untouched for a touchdown. You say, geez, you don't want the kids to get too complacent here. It doesn't get much better than that. But we did have a nice effort. We had a couple mental mistakes, but I think the physical work ethic was certainly there. And what we try to strive to the kids is just try to avoid the mental mistakes, work really hard on the physical stuff, and defensively just be as aggressive as heck and just have 11 guys fly into the football. I've been preaching that for the last 2 years, and I think this year we might have the personnel to actually do that.
Let me tell you, from what I saw yesterday, you guys are going to be a defensive force all year, because that's exactly what was happening. People were just flying at the ball all over, gang tackling everywhere. And, of course, you threw caution to the wind quite a few times there. You had 7, 8 guys coming in rushing. You must have a lot of confidence in your secondary coming in, too.
And I do. My secondary this year is a bunch of young guys. At this point, one of the corners is going to be Brian Anderson, who's a sophomore. Last year he had 42 tackles as a freshman, including 11 Thanksgiving Day.
And not to interrupt, but can he hit?
I
mean, he put on some wallops last year toward the end of the season. I just couldn't believe it.
He's a cornerback with great speed that hits like a linebacker.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he's a very sure tackler, very fundamentally sound. He's a guy that if we had to, we could lock up just on anybody in Central Massachusetts. I feel confident with. And free safety, we talked about Tom Crossman, who also is a sophomore. Again, real headsy kid, another big hitter like Brian, can read on the football, and we look for great things out of him.
Good.
The other corner right now is a question mark. We have Brendan Slavin and James McManus and Billy Orfley kind of vying for that position. And right now, I think that's going to be after scrimmage tomorrow with Southbridge and a scrimmage Saturday with Leicester. We'll make a decision on that. All three have done very well. But that's a nice problem to have on the coach.
Definitely.
Last year, we didn't have that problem. Basically, someone get hurt, it's like, geez, who am I going to put in here?
Yeah, Jimmy had a couple of nice plays yesterday. I think he
certainly
had a pick
did.
as well. He recovered nice in a couple of plays.
Right.
Brendan, Billy, obviously, they got the athletic ability.
Sure.
So it's good competition.
And
there.
a kid like James McManus is a nice thing to see. Here he is, a senior coming
Yeah.
out for football for the first time. He comes up, coach, I'll do whatever I need to help the football team.
That was great. That's great.
And another kid that I liked him at Brian Lamarice is the same thing, coming out as a senior. Same type of thing. Whatever you can do to help the football, and he should probably see some time on defense. So secondary-wise, I feel very confident. That's why we're able to go after people.
Sure.
My feeling is in high school level, a lot of times you're dealing with 14, 15, 16-year-old kids at the quarterback position. Put the pressure on them. Make them make some decisions. And it's kind of hard to throw if you're on your back.
Absolutely.
The best pass defense to me is pass rush. And obviously in high school, most teams will run the football 9 times out of 10. So you're going to have to put the pressure on to stop the run.
You talk about pass rush and you talk about stopping the run. And from what I saw from your linebackers yesterday, oh, Maron, I couldn't believe those guys.
Right.
Robitaille was flying all over the place. Tomiolo, who else did you have? Greg Ward, just flying all over the place on defense. Boy, they really hit hard and they were aggressive.
I'll tell you, I talk about our secondary, and you would think that would be the strength of our team, but I'll tell you, our real strength in our defense, it will be our linebacker core. Brian Robitaille, who was a junior, who I named as a captain, which is just very unusual in any sport. And it's an honor he duly deserves. Brian had 97 tackles last year to lead our team.
Amazing.
And he had 4 sacks. And he's going to play middle linebacker for us. He's just a very intense football player, just loves it, can't get enough. Matter of fact, he's, during the scrimmage yesterday, he's like, Coach, put me back. Brian, listen, relax.
I saw that.
He just can't get enough. Yeah. And he's a very coachable kid, and go to war with him anytime.
Great.
The other 2 guys are going to be starting probably be A.J. Tomiolo, who's a transfer from St. John's, has come out and done really a great job. He'll be our strong side linebacker, a real strong hitter, reads well, takes a lot of pride in what he does, and he'll be a real good complement to Roby. And the other outside back will be probably Greg Ward. Greg Ward's a senior last year. He played defensive back. He won an opportunity outside linebacker. I said he'd get it as long as he paid his dues in the offseason. He certainly did. He came back in great shape.
Does look good.
He's lifting. He lifted a lot in the offseason, and he's been really smacking people around. So, you go from a secondary who's going to be inexperienced in the fact that they're only sophomores, but they're experienced because of last year. And now your linebacker core, you got a junior captain and 2 seniors. You can go to war with that.
Well, they're going to put a lot of pressure on. And again, I saw, you're taking a lot of chances, blitzing a lot, obviously. It's not going to be a lot of time for quarterbacks to set up back there when you start blitzing those guys.
And the nice problem we have there at linebacker is we have some other young kids that can step in and do the job. The Chris Lynch, who's a sophomore,
big boy,
has just really stepped it up this year. He really won. Last year he had a neck injury and he was out for a while. He's come back in great shape, worked real hard in the offseason, and he's going to get an opportunity to play.
Excellent.
Nick Tedisco, who's another sophomore, got some varsity time last year at outside linebacker, another real headsy kid, fundamentally sound, makes all the tackles. He'll get some looks there.
Good.
Sean Weingold, another sophomore. All these kids are sophomores. Inside backer, too. Another kid, he's not real big, real great tackler, sound tackler, makes all the plays. These are guys that, if we had a problem, they could go right in the game without a problem. But the front line there with Roby, Tomiolo, and Ward, like I said, I think it was a real solid 3 linebacker core.
Well, you talked with me earlier, and the numbers weren't exactly what you wanted this year. You were hoping to get a little bit more, but the thing you've kept telling me about is I got 45, 50 guys here, but what I got is 45, 50 football players, and I'm not afraid to use any one of them, and you're really happy with a lot of the depth and the talent that you really got.
I'll tell you, but I couldn't be any happier right now. I mean, they probably shouldn't say this but as a coach, but I really couldn't. Yeah. The effort that I've seen out there, not only preseason and scrimmage, every single day, we've had a good practice. I mean, most coaches will come in, you cone off, oh, geez, we weren't very good today. Every day we've seen the effort, from the sprints to the mental work, all this. And that's all you can ask from your players as a coach.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I talked earlier on the Town Common Show about trying to get 100 football players in a row. But I'll tell you what, I'll take 50 kids that want to play every day, come out and not going to miss practice. They're very coachable kids. They're going to listen to you and learn from you and go out and give 110% every play. I can't ask for anything more than that.
Well, that's what you got. Let's go defensive line now. And again, your defensive ends yesterday just wreaked havoc. You want to talk about those guys?
Absolutely. One of the starters will be Landon Laporte, who's a sophomore. He started the last 7 games for us. Real solid contributor. A kid who got better every game, had a couple big sacks in the Milford game, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Without a doubt.
The defensive tackle is going to be Captain John Baccardi, who had been a linebacker previously, but he has great speed. We moved him down, and he responded last year with 63 tackles and had 5 fumble recoveries, so he has a nose around the football.
That's great.
And that's what you want up front, and he's doing a real nice job. Tom Segrin will also be our other defensive tackle. Tom's a big kid. He plays offensive line for me also. Again, real solid off the football, strong kid. Look for big things out of him. We go to a 50. The nose guard's going to be Dennis Ferrante, who also plays wide receiver. What you think about that wide receiver nose guard?
Yeah, right.
It doesn't make sense. But I'll tell you, he's come in, accepted the role. He loves it. He's quick as heck off the football.
Physical kid, too.
He's real physical, and he's going to wreak havoc in the backfield. I mean, in practice, we have a very hard time blocking a kid, and he's just been relentless. There's a kid last year as a sophomore. We threw him in the frying pan as a wide receiver, defensive end going both ways. I thought it was a little bit too much for him. He settled down, and this year he's come back full of confidence, and I expect great things out of him.
Did a nice job yesterday in scrimmage. Got good penetration. Had a
Tremendous.
pass deflection out in the flat, and he just caused all kinds of
Plus, the
trouble.
other thing, he's a big, tall kid, and we tell the kids, if you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up,
They
knock
did
the
that
pass
yesterday.
down, and he certainly did. Our other defensive end is going to be our other captain, Jay Sweet.
Oh,
Jay
he played
Sweet
beautiful
weighs
yesterday.
185, 190 pounds. He plays like he's 260.
Yeah.
He's the kind of a kid, he just refuses to get blocked, just relentless, won't give up. You can double team, you can triple team, he's still going to come back for some more. He's done a great job as a captain, and he's going to have a solid year for us.
We had great penetration yesterday. He had a few sacks, had a few hurries, and
Right.
he was just all over the place yesterday. Now, you had a few other guys that impressed on defense a little
Yes,
bit
Nick
yesterday,
Dion.
too. Nick Dion.
Nick
just,
Dion was a
all
standout
over.
yesterday. Again, playing defensive end. Again, we have the depth there now. I mean, if Landon or Jay Sweet needs a blow during a game, Nick Dion, we don't lose anything.
No.
Don't lose anything. Outstanding. Had some time last year on the varsity level as a sophomore. Broke his collarbone in the first game against South.
Right.
After having an outstanding game, came back later in the season and contributed. We expect great things out of him this year.
Yeah, he's trimmed down. He looks in good shape, and he
Yes.
really got off the ball real quick yesterday.
Absolutely. And also a guy that's really stepped up for us that's kind of been a pleasant surprise is Tom Roddy. Tom Roddy would probably be the first defensive lineman off the bench, and he just continues to get better and better every day.
Excellent.
And again, only a sophomore.
So you got that kind of depth on defense. Let's switch over to the other side of the ball, and let's get right back into the line again.
Yep.
Again, through Shrewsbury for years and years, and up until a couple of years ago, we're subbing maybe 1 or 2 guys between offense and defense. What kind of depth you got between the 2 lines, and what's your starting offensive line going to look like?
Well, Billy, like anybody in high school, you talk to most coaches, and they say one of the major problems is depth in both lines, like you just said. Absolutely. I mean, this isn't Fitchburg or North Middlesex.
No
We have
way.
100 guys. But I'll tell you, and most people around the football circles, they talk about, our skill positions. We have great skill positions, but they say, well, always the question is, what about your offensive line? Well, I told the guys today, I said, I'm sick and tired of hearing that question. I think we're going to have a very solid offensive line. We've taken a little pride this year. Our offensive line coach, Kevin Biddy, we've got a little name going for them. They're called Biddy's Boys, and they've taken a lot of pride in that, and they've worked real hard. We've kind of condensed things this year, has made it real simple. As a unit, they're really starting to have a lot more line calls and work as a unit instead of one-on-one. I said, you 5 guys will go as you 5 guys, not as one guy. If one guy misses a block, then the play may not work. If all 5 do the job, the play's going to work.
Right, absolutely.
Going left to right, our left tackle is going to be Tom Segrin. Tom started the first 8 games last year, ran into a few problems that were rectified in the offseason, and he's doing real well this preseason. We expect great things from him. He's the kind of guy that 3rd and 2 play, Tom, here we come off tackle. He's going to make the block for it.
Right.
Nick Dion, who we mentioned on defense, is going to play left guard. Nick's a great athlete. When having a lot of pulling situations, again, he can. He's almost 200 pounds. He can take on the heads-up block, but we'll use his athletic ability as far as deploying.
Right.
Right now, going to war, center would be Nick Tedisco, who's a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Again, we mentioned him on defense. Had an outstanding preseason. Again, a kid that's not real big, probably 180 pounds, maybe, but a kid that's tenacious, very headsy kid, goes after people. Coach Biddy's extremely high on him.
Let me throw something at you. Just the little thing that happened yesterday. 3 times yesterday, Lee gave the hard count on a 2 count. Defense went offside, knocked Nick right on his butt. Never moved.
Right.
Never moved. Had good
And
discipline.
and that's a great point, Billy. What we're trying to do is, I tell these guys, listen, you got to make your life easier. What I mean by that is if you're always going on one, defense, they're going to be in the back
Sure.
before you even snap the ball. Thus far, we have been a pretty disciplined team in practice. I tell the quarterbacks all the time, either go on a first sound or go on 2 or 3. Don't be going on 1.
Right.
And you're right. We had the discipline to draw the out, and that's going to come up big in a game.
Absolutely.
So Nick Tedisco, again, only a young kid, only a sophomore. Right now he's our guy, and he's done a real good job. He's a real headsy kid. Right guard's going to be Brian Gator, who's a junior. Brian Gator is one of our strongest players on our football team. He has about 5 or 6 of those weightlifting T-shirts that we give out. Worked real hard in the offseason. Started, I believe, the last 5 or 6 games for us with his brother Greg. Got better every week. It's a big part of the win Thanksgiving. Again, real solid kid, real smart kid. Will put his hat into anybody, and we look for big things out of him. The other right tackle is going to be A.J. Tomiolo.
Boy, he looked like a force again yesterday.
He came here, as a fullback, and fullback was one of our strongest positions.
Right.
We asked him to help best for the team to move down the offensive line. He said, "Coach, whatever you need me to do." He's learned the line, and again, just like he plays offense, like he plays defense, very aggressive, and he's going to be a guy that we can really count on the offensive line.
I thought he did real well yesterday, and I said something to him after the game. He goes, "No, I got to get lower. I didn't handle my." So he's really into it. I'll tell you, he really is.
Well, it's funny you said that. When I was getting back to the defensive side of the ball, there was a couple times he had a real big hit, but he wasn't. He was up high. I said, "Geez, AJ, you got to get lower because then you really, put him into it." So
he took it to heart.
He's a very coachable kid, and he's very intense. He's very excitable, and he's actually, I think, by his addition, we've kind of raised ourselves to level. He's bringing kids with him. Tight end's going to be John Bacati, who saw some action there last year. John has great hands. He catches the ball like a wide receiver, and he's starting to block pretty well too. We expect big things out of him. I expect John to catch between 30 and 40 passes. He's running tight end position.
And John's a captain this year too.
And John's one of the captains also. And again, he plays the defensive line on defense, which I think he'd probably rather play linebacker. For the better of the team, we need him on the defensive line.
Good.
And he runs really solid patterns, and like I said, we expect real good big things out of John.
Excellent. Wideouts, saw some good things there yesterday
Yep.
too. Again, Lee was at quarterback. He threw some nice balls, but I saw some nice adjustments, some nice route running by the wideouts.
Exactly. That's a good point too, Bill. We've been really working real hard on getting it so that our freshmen through senior receivers run every pattern the same. That's how you build a football program. And we do. We run really solid patterns, and we catch the ball. We spend a lot of time trying to catch the ball. Jamie Bonamo, who is also our 4th captain, he led our team last year with 12 catches.
Right.
He's back. He'll play both flanker and split end. We'll try to keep him on the field all the time on offense. Great hands, runs great routes. He's actually gotten a little bit faster from last year, which will help. And he's a guy that I can go to on 3rd down or any other down, and I'm pretty sure he's going to catch the football.
Did a good job yesterday.
Dennis Ferranti will be the other wide receiver. Again, he played. He started almost every game at wide receiver last year as a sophomore, playing nose guard on defense and wide receiver on offense. It's a heck of a combination.
Boy, that's something.
But last year, we mentioned at camp, the Inter-High camp, he won the award for best hands at the camp, so he certainly can catch the football.
Excellent.
And he's a big, tall kid. He'll be someone to reckon with when we get down to the goal line.
He had something else there too. I think Landon Laporte was.
Right. Landon will back up John Bacati, or if we go 2 tight end set, he'll certainly be able to come in. Another kid I have no problem putting in there. He certainly had a great scrimmage yesterday. I think he had 4 or 5 catches.
Yeah.
And other guys that may see some action is Brian Anderson, who saw some action last year. We kind of ran a couple reversals with him. He's got great speed. He's certainly got great hands. We'll try to stretch the field with him. Tommy Crossman, again, who plays free safety for us. We'll see sometime. Another kid with good hands, good patterns, so forth and so on. Timmy Ford, little Timmy Ford, doesn't look like much, but he catches everything there. Had a great preseason.
Good athlete.
He's another guy that we can go to war with, so he may see some time too. So again, in that position, we have some depth too. And that's really what you need because, like you said, if you go into a season where you have 9 or 10 guys going both ways, they're going to run out of gas in the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
So if you can, sub people in and not lose too much, that's the key. Not only to keeping kids happy, but you're also saving yourself for the fourth quarter.
Now, speaking of that, we got a couple minutes left, so we've really eaten up a lot of time here. So
Okay.
let's get into it real quick. Depth, backfield, running backs. Wow, interchangeable parts there.
Tremendous. Quarterback Lee Diamantopoulos started the last 8 games for us last year. Real headsy kid, left-handed quarterback. Had a great scrimmage yesterday. Threw the ball real nice. Headsy kid. Quarterback the last 2 wins. Look for great things out of Lee. Can't ask for any more. He's really.
He looked great. He looked great yesterday. Very poised. Got rid of the ball
He's
quick.
really,
very
he's
sharp.
really polished his game from last year to this year, and now he's a junior. Dave Brewer, also sophomore quarterbacks, had a great preseason. He's been pushing Lee, he's throwing the ball great. He's another guy right now that if something would have happened, I had no problem going to.
And the running backs, boy, you got to consider that one of the strengths, if not the number one strength of the team.
I'd like to see a trio better than the ones I have. Brian Robitaille, which you mentioned, a captain, will play fullback, tremendous blocker, hard runner. Expect wonderful things out of him. Jay Sweet will back him up, a senior captain too. You don't lose too much when you go to him either. And the other 2 guys, of course, Mario Johnson. He's our go-to guy. 941 yards rushing as a sophomore last year, 10 touchdowns. First play of the preseason scrimmage yesterday goes for a touchdown. Expect great things out of him. And backing him up will be Bill Orfali, another kid who's a sophomore, pushing Mario every day in practice, runs great routes as a pass receiver, runs real hard. Expect real good things out of him. I think they're going to be kind of interchangeable with Roby, and also I'll probably have some situations where I put both Mario and Billy on the field at the same time, which will only cause some headaches for the defense.
That's going to be a threat. Coach, I'll tell you, we had talked about maybe making this an hour, and boy, we just zipped through a half an hour about as fast as we humanly possibly could. We don't have a lot on Gardner, but we will find out next time we do the show how we made out against Gardner.
Right.
And I'm really looking forward to that first game. In between now and then, we're going to have our kickoff banquet, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a real exciting time.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to seeing you again in next week after our first victory over Gardner.
I hope so, Bill.
And hopefully we'll keep coming back.